Hey, what's cracking, geeks and gamers? I am back and I'm here to talk about Netflix. That is right. We're going to be talking about this policy they have implemented which prevents people like you and me from looking at each other for more than 5 seconds. That is right. So now you have been harassed. I am up for dismissal now because of my staring at you, my ogling, my perusing of your physique, my ogling at your face. Are you creeped out? You should be, and you should take me to some type of harassment tribunal because I am a pig. That's right, I'm a sexist pig for looking at you. Even if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. Maybe this applies to animals, I'm not quite sure. But there is a law in place now. Not a law, but a policy. I should be correct. So this article is from the National Review. And yes, I will be reading this article. And if you cannot handle that, eat some dung and piss off. That is right. So this is from Catherine Timpf. A good-looking woman, may I say. I have not heard anything else about this person. But from the pictures I have seen, I very much approve of Catherine Timpf. That is right. So, this article is titled, Report, Netflix bans employees from looking at each other for more than 5 seconds. This is ridiculous. And she's saying it's ridiculous. She's not on the side of the ridiculousness. Do you understand me? I hope you do. Even with the Australian accent, yes, I am Australian, I am not British. Let's clear this up. I am Australian, not British. There is a difference there. I'm not from New Zealand either. I am from Australia. That's right, mate. Would you like a VB, a Sanger, or a thing with Vegemite on it? Right? Vegemite is gold. If you do not like Vegemite, stuff you, because it's good shit. That's right. Go try Vegemite if you have not tried it, and a meat pie while you're driving a Monaro. That's right, with a V8 in it. Very nice car. Not as nice as a Ford Falcon or a Holden Commodore or a Holden Tirana, which I have owned in the past. Holden Tiranas are a great car. So, this article says, this is completely ridiculous and could end up hurting more than it helps. Netflix has reportedly banned workers from looking at each other for more than 5 seconds as part of its new anti-harassment rules. The new policy also bans the company's film crews from asking their colleagues for their phone numbers, according to an article in The Sun. Quote, senior staff went to a harassment meeting to learn what is and isn't appropriate. An on-set runner told The Sun, quote, looking at anyone longer than 5 seconds is considered creepy, end quote. So you should be creeped out now. I think that was about 4.5 seconds. I didn't want to leave it too long because he might switch off, but you get the point that I was making. Are you creeped out now? Should I be taken to a harassment tribunal for looking at you? Does this apply to look at the back of people as well? So if you're in a queue, if you're queuing up to receive some food on a set at a Netflix production, you are staring at the back of someone's head for more than 5 seconds, are you harassing them? That's the point I'm making. Does this apply to actors on set when they are delivering lines to each other? Are they not allowed to look at each other for more than 5 seconds? Do you understand the ridiculousness of this policy now? What if you are smoking weed and you are off your nut and you're just gazing into nothingness and someone walks across your vision? Does it apply to that person? I don't know. It's very confusing. I'm confused. I hope you are confused. So let's continue reading this article to make us less confused. Quote, you mustn't ask for someone's number unless they have given permission for it to be distributed. What? End quote? That's an end quote, right? What? So is there a list of numbers? Is there a list of people whose numbers they agree to be distributed? How does this distribution system work? Because how can you ask for someone's number if you don't know whether it's been agreed to be distributed? That makes no sense. You can only find that information out after you've asked them. How does that work? I'm not sure. Quote, and if you see any unwanted behaviour, report it immediately, end quote. Well, that should be common sense. You see unwanted behaviour like that, you should be reporting it. No, not like that, but inappropriate behaviour, you should be reporting it anyway, right? Other new rules include, quote, don't give lingering hugs or touch anyone for a lengthy period of time, end quote. I'm not down with hugging. I'm not a hugger. Depends. I think it matters on the attractiveness of the person hugging you. If they are attractive, I don't mind a hug or a longer hug. I can be down with that. But if it's like a man or someone who isn't, I don't know. Is that inappropriate for me to say that? I think quite possibly is, but that is how people feel. Don't ask out a colleague more than once if they have said no, end quote. Again, common sense things. If someone says no, you don't ask them out. How is that? It's just common sense. You don't need rules in place to tell people this. Quote, steer clear of a colleague once they have said they are not interested in you. Again, common sense. You don't have to like completely steer clear. What if you have to work with this person? You just don't bring it up again. That's how simple it is. And quote, don't flirt. No flirting allowed at Netflix. This is confirmed. Quote, shout, stop. Don't do that again if a colleague has been inappropriate. End quote. You really need like this in a policy to tell people this stuff. You just say, fuck off. That's what you say. The on-set runner told The Sun that employees are already poking fun at the new rules. Quote, it has sparked jokes, with people looking at each other, counting to 5, then diverting their eyes. End quote. Good. Because this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Netflix hasn't confirmed or denied the rules, but did release a statement to The Independent saying, quote, we're proud of the anti-harassment training we offer to our productions. We want every Netflix production to be a safe and respectful working environment. We believe the resources we offer empower people on our sets to speak up and shouldn't be trivialised, end quote. But the thing is that lots of this stuff is just common sense. Lots of it, and some of it's ridiculous with the 5-second rule. But again, that comes down to common sense. You shouldn't be just ogling people when you're in a work environment. You're there to work, right? Just go there, do your job, that's it. Right? Ogling, people should know not to do that, right? If you have a brain, you wouldn't be doing that. You might look at someone for a second or two, you know, that's what happens. But what if you're inadvertently doing it? Like you're just looking at something else and someone is in your field of vision. How do you police this thing? It's ridiculous. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for, quote, a safe and respectful working environment, end quote. Everyone should feel comfortable in the workplace, and harassment of any kind has absolutely no place there. This, however, is completely ridiculous and could end up hurting more than it helps. It is. First of all, that ridiculous 5-second rule. Of course, staring is kind of rude, but it's also something that just happens sometimes. It's certainly not always a form of harassment. I don't know about everybody else, but there have definitely been times when I've spaced out and found myself happening to stare in the same direction where there happens to be another person. Yes, I've done the same thing many times. When this has happened, we've just said, quote, whoops, sorry, I'm spacing out, end quote. And both of us have gotten on with our days. With a policy like this, I could potentially be subject to some sort of disciplinary action over something that no one thinks is a big deal. That is exactly the point. It makes a big deal out of something innocuous like that. And then people go like through tribunals and maybe lawyers are involved and stuff like that. And it makes a big deal out of something which is nothing. Of course, there is no word on what kind of action Netflix is actually planning to take against violators of the 5-second staring rule. But the fact that it even exists is absurd enough. Smart woman is Catherine Timpf. Hopefully there's a picture of her on the screen if I can find one which I can use without breaching any copyrights. The no asking for phone numbers rule is equally bizarre. I don't think this should be news to anyone, but there are plenty of legitimate reasons to have a person's phone number that have absolutely nothing to do with dating or sex. Not to brag, but I have tons of phone contacts, yes, including co-workers, with whom I communicate on a completely platonic basis. In fact, I'm pretty sure that everyone does. Personally, I actually prefer that my co-workers be able to contact me with work information via text, because that means I have to worry less about checking my email. A co-worker wanting my number wouldn't for a second strike me as flirting. It would strike me as someone initiating a convenient method of communication. Asking for the phone numbers of those with whom you need to communicate regularly is a normal, practical part of life, and Netflix is wrong to sexualize it. Again, if you're on working on a set or whatever, you shouldn't really be common sense stuff like asking people's phone numbers anyway. You're there to work. And I'm talking about dating, and like she said, in a sexual sense, right? This is common sense. I don't know if I need to inform you of this, but if you're there to do a job, you do your job. You don't do that, right? If you're going to do that, do it like outside of hours, not during work time. This is common sense stuff. It doesn't need to be in a policy. Harassment in the workplace is a serious and pervasive problem, and I am very glad that the Me Too movement has done so much to bring this issue to the surface so that we can work on combating it. I'm not that familiar with this whole Me Too movement. I've heard about that hashtag, but hashtags don't do shit, right? They're just hashtags. It's all this like online activism. So what was that guy's name? Coney. Remember Coney? Is he still a big thing? Coney. Do you remember Coney? What was that even about? People getting all hyped up online about that, and what actually happened there? Pretty much nothing, I think. What happened? So I don't know anything about this. I don't know much about this Me Too thing. If you got people like doing sexual harassment, sexual assault, all that, you take them to the police. That's what you do. You report it and you go to the police. And you report it to the police is what I meant. Ridiculous policies like these, however, do nothing to solve these problems and can actually create new ones. Calling an innocent 6-second glance harassment trivialises the very real struggles of those who are actually harassed. And a no phone numbers rule is going to make it more difficult for employees to communicate. If Netflix really wants to make the workplace as comfortable a place as it can be for its employees, then it should really consider reversing these rules. Again, that article was by Catherine Timpf. Catherine, I said Catherine, I meant Catherine Timpf from the National Review. And she's on Twitter at Cat Timpf. So, what do I think about all this news? I think it's ridiculous. I think it's stupid. I think maybe look, they've got their heart in the right place, I think, but they're just going about it the wrong way. You don't need a policy to stop people looking at each other. What are the boundaries on that? What are the ramifications if you are caught doing this? How do you have a discussion with someone about something, to say about a film, you're on set, you're talking about the script with a person. How does that work? Are you not allowed to look at them for more than 5 seconds? How does that work? If you're having a conversation with someone, you're obviously going to be looking at someone for more than 5 seconds. Is it when you're not talking? How does it work? So does it only apply when you're not talking to someone? Is there a distance involved? So if they're like 10 feet away, then you can't do it. Is there a safe space involved? I'm not sure. I can't confirm any of this information, but I think it's ridiculous. Tell me what you think about it in the comments about this 5-second rule, and also about the phone number thing. Do you think it's wrong to be asking people for their phone numbers in a dating and sexual sense in the workplace? I do. That's just my opinion. Tell me what you think about that in the comments. Right? Tell me. I want to know. So, I hope you're having a good day as always, peeps. Catch you later.